Listen, we all talk about red flags in relationships, but there are some red flags that nobody wants to admit. Not just about our partners, but about ourselves. And today, I'm going to share with you the 3 most ignored red flags that both men and women need to face if they want to build healthy, lasting relationships. Now, before we get started, be sure to like this video, share it with someone who might need to hear this, and subscribe to the channel for more relationship insights. Now, I'm going to say some things that might make you uncomfortable, and that's exactly the point. These aren't the obvious red flags everyone talks about, like cheating or lying. These are the subtle patterns that we excuse, overlook, or worse, that we exhibit ourselves without even realizing it. Comment below and tell me if you recognize any of these patterns, because awareness is the first step to change. Red flag number 1. You're dating their potential, not their reality. Here's the truth nobody wants to admit. You're in love with who you think they could become, not who they actually are right now. Now listen, I've had countless clients tell me, but he has so much potential, or she's working on herself. And my question is always the same. How long have you been waiting for that potential to show up? Here's what's really happening. When you date someone's potential, you're essentially signing up to be their unpaid life coach instead of their partner. You're making excuses for behavior that you wouldn't accept from anyone else, all because you see glimpses of who they could be. Let me paint a clear picture. Maybe he's inconsistent with communication, but when he does call, the conversation is amazing. Or maybe she's emotionally unavailable, but occasionally she opens up and you feel that connection. So you hold on to those moments and tell yourself, this is who they really are. But here's the hard truth. People show you who they are through their consistent actions, not their occasional moments of greatness. And if you're constantly hoping and waiting for change, you're not in a relationship with a person, you're in a relationship with a fantasy. The healthiest relationships happen when 2 people accept each other as they are today, while supporting each other's genuine growth. There's a huge difference between supporting someone's growth and waiting for them to become who you need them to be. Red flag number 2. You can't be alone with yourself. Now this one might sting a little bit, but it's crucial. If you can't be genuinely happy and fulfilled when you're single, you're not ready for a healthy relationship. I know. Society tells us we need to be in a relationship to be complete. But here's what I've learned working with hundreds of clients. The people who jump from relationship to relationship, who stay in toxic situations, or who settle for less than they deserve, they all have one thing in common. They're afraid to be alone. When you can't be alone with yourself, you'll accept treatment that you shouldn't accept. You'll ignore red flags because being with the wrong person feels better than being with no one at all. And that's a recipe for disaster. Think about it this way. If you don't enjoy your own company, why would anyone else want to spend time with you? And more importantly, how can you possibly know what you want in a partner if you don't even know who you are when you're by yourself? I've seen people stay in relationships where they're constantly walking on eggshells, where they're not respected, where their needs aren't met, all because the thought of being single terrifies them more than being unhappy. The most attractive quality in a person is someone who is whole on their own, someone who chooses to be with you, not someone who needs to be with you out of desperation or fear. Red flag number 3. You're keeping score instead of building together. Here's the red flag that destroys more relationships than people realize. You're keeping a mental scorecard of everything you do versus everything they do. Now, I'm not talking about being aware of effort and reciprocity in a relationship. That's important. I'm talking about that toxic pattern where you're literally counting every gesture, every favor, every sacrifice, and expecting exact equal returns. I always text first. I planned the last 3 dates. I'm always the one who apologizes. Sound familiar? Here's the thing. Healthy relationships aren't transactional. They're not about keeping perfect balance sheets. Sometimes you give 70%. Sometimes they give 70%. And over time it balances out because you're both genuinely invested in each other's happiness. But when you're keeping score, you're not building a partnership. You're building resentment. And I've seen this pattern in both men and women. The person who's always counting is usually the person who's either giving for the wrong reasons or not communicating their needs effectively. If you find yourself keeping score, ask yourself this. Are you giving because you genuinely want to? Or are you giving because you expect something specific in return?